Welcome, everyone. We're going to continue to let folks in from the waiting room. So if you just give us a minute before we get started, that'd be great. If you have a minute, we would also just love to know where you're from. You can put your name and institution in the chat. We can get that going. It'd be great to see where folks are from if you're interested, but we'll get started in a minute. Hello, everyone. Thank you for continuing to log on. We got a nice group of introductions here going on in the chat. If you just joined us, feel free to put your name or your institution or where you're logging in from in the chat as we give folks a few more minutes to enter the space. So great to see everyone there. We'll give it maybe another 30 seconds. We have a few more coming in here. All right. I think we've topped off at a good number. So we'll go ahead and get started. If you did just enter, if you'd like to put your name and your institution and where you're tuning in from in the chat, that would be fantastic. It's really amazing to see so many folks tuning in from around the country and for some of you on bases around the world. That's really tremendous. Thank you all for taking the time to attend our virtual session. Just so that you know, you are in a session for community college and transfer students with Amherst, Pomona, Princeton, Williams, and Yale. As we get started here, let me just allow my colleagues a quick minute to introduce themselves, and we'll go in alphabetical order, and we'll start with Lexi at Amherst College.
Thanks, Adam. My full name is Alexandra Hurd, but I go by Lexi. I use she, her pronouns. I'm an associate dean of admission at Amherst College in Massachusetts, and I've been working with our transfer students for the past 11 years. So I'm very excited to be here. Good to see you all.
Hi, everyone. Alex Buston. I use he, him, his pronouns. I'm from Princeton University, where I'm Senior Associate Dean of Admission and also Director of Transfer and Military and Veteran Admission. And excited to be with you all here tonight, especially those of you I saw coming from nearby in Jersey and Philly. I'm glad to see you all tonight.
Hey everyone, I'm Alex Diodezio from Williams College, Senior Assistant Director of Admission and Manage Transfer and Veteran Admission Programs for the college. And very excited to be here with you all tonight and have this conversation.
Good evening, everybody. I am Patricia Way. I'm Associate Director of Admissions at Yale University. I'm involved in first-year admissions, transfer admissions. I'm Director of Outreach, Veterans Outreach, and I'm also Director of the admissions process for the Eli Whitney Students Program, or program for adult students.
Excellent. And my name is Adam Sapp. I'm AVP and Director of Admission at Pomona College. I'll be your MC for the first part of our session today, and then I'll hand it over to my colleague Alex to end things with the Q&A. But thanks again, everyone, for tuning in. I know when you registered, you may have submitted your questions, and we're very, very happy. We got a lot of questions, so we're very happy. So many of you took the time to submit your questions. We will get to those later on, but we also recognize as we present over the course of the next hour or so that there may be new questions that arise. Please don't use the chat function at that point. Please use the Q&A function, and we'll get to those questions in the Q&A function. Additionally, you can press live transcript down below in order to view the live captions during today's presentation. As you can see, we have a full agenda for our workshop today. We'll start by talking through some common slides on broader topics. These address common things that we share and believe in, and then we'll move into the next part, which really allows us to talk much more deeply and specifically about our individual institutions. Each institution will get a slide in a few minutes to talk about some specifics that you may find of interest. And then we'll end with a Q&A session run by Alex Buston from Princeton, which will get to many of those questions that you decided to submit when you registered. And that we spent the weekend going over those, and really some great questions there. So thank you so much. We do have our contact information, which we'll provide on a future slide. We always get requests for our email, so we'll put it in at the end, and you'll be able to contact us there. And so let's go ahead and get started with our first slide, and I'll talk a little bit about the liberal arts. I think for many of you, you may wonder why the five of us travel together. In addition to being great friends, we have spent the last almost 3 years now as a travel group. We do get along personally, but our institutions just have so much in common. In addition to the fact that we're all global institutions where students and faculty come from around the world to teach and learn, we have decided to put down pen to paper some I believe statements that we think are nice reminders of the values that we share and some of the common practices that we have, but then also to go a little bit further to really think about what does that value mean when it comes to you submitting an application. So we really wanted this workshop to have some takeaways, and we thought this might be one way to do it. We all believe in interdisciplinary learning. So we think that chemists should take history and that linguists should take math. We think that there's lots of value in our students who want to be engineers taking anthropology classes or economics classes. The ways in which we think about learning are that knowledge is linked and connected, and we're going to expect you to be able to talk about the connections that you see in the world in your application. So let that sort of sit in your head for a little bit and really think about the connections you see in the world. We're very interested in that when we read applications, as are our colleagues who are reading alongside us. We believe in diverse voices. We believe that diversity is a cornerstone of excellence, and we believe that diverse voices add value. And to that end, we're always interested in you telling us who you are and what that means for the kind of impact you might have in our community, what that means for the kind of impact you've had in previous communities that you've been a part of, and that ability to tell your story. You'll find so many opportunities throughout the application at various points in the application, whether it's through questions or short answers, or whether it's through longer essays, to tell us about who you are and what you value and why that matters. We also believe in going beyond the major. This came up in several of the questions that were submitted about learning beyond the major and learning beyond the degree pathway that many of you who are in community college settings might be working toward as you're working toward your associate's degree. And that's one of the reasons why we ask for all the transcripts for all the classes that you have taken, because we are very interested in seeing the content of the classes that you have taken and those classes that make up your progress toward your degree. Some of you may be transferring after 1 year of coursework. Some of you may be transferring after 2 years of coursework. Some of you may have had a break in between when you completed some community college and when you're applying. And Patricia will talk a little bit about what we expect there later. But that's really the connection. We are interested in you thinking beyond the major. And so we're interested in reading about all the classes that you have taken. All of us have institutions where the faculty are very purposeful in putting together dynamic and engaging classes. And those classes are almost always pretty small. And we think that smaller classes is a real catalyst to learning. We don't have classes with thousands of students where grading is only done by TAs, for example, right? We are always interested, our faculty are always interested in getting to know you. And we think that so much of that, as we think about the application, is important to understand how you learn, how best you feel you learn, the settings that you feel you've excelled the most in, the kinds of academic settings you hope to have at your next institution. And so for us, these become really central because it's not just about the learning, it's also about how you learn and being aware of how you sort of produce your best work. And you'll find there are questions in the application that ask you to respond to sort of topics like that. And then finally, and I think we can't say this enough, and you'll hear this repeated by my colleagues this afternoon and evening, we really value transfer students. We value our community college students. We value our transfers, our military affiliated, our veteran students. We know that so many students take a path to higher education that doesn't immediately include a four-year institution. It may include a two-year institution. It may include the military. It may include a couple of different kinds of institutions before you find that final home to complete your bachelor's degree. That's fine with us. We're okay with that. We know that everyone's journey is unique and everyone's journey has value. And so we're always interested in learning about your pathway and why you think our institutions should be part of that educational journey that you are making. And then we get excited to read those answers to those kinds of questions. So with that, I'll turn it over to my colleague and we'll talk a little bit about the application review process.
Sorry about that, I was on mute. But thank you, Adam. I am delighted to see that we have over 200 people joining us tonight. That's wonderful. And as you all prepare to work on your transfer applications, probably foremost on your mind is what the admissions committee looks for in their applicants. We're getting already a lot of questions about that in the Q&A box. And it may be that I'm just a bit nerdy, but the favorite part of my job as an admissions officer is reviewing applications. I love reading your essays, seeing what classes you have taken, and learning about you from your recommenders. So let me take a few minutes to talk about our whole person review process. If you attended one of our previous joint admission sessions, you may remember that I said that we take many factors into consideration when evaluating applications. I cannot give you an easy answer about the likelihood of your admission because we do not base our admissions decisions solely on quantitative measures like GPAs and test scores, and we don't use an algorithm to come up with an admissions decision. Of course, your past academic performance is important, but it's not the only factor that we consider. The fact that we do not use a formula to make admissions decisions, it doesn't mean that we make admissions decisions haphazardly by pulling names out of a hat. We certainly put a lot of thought into each application. And perhaps the best way for me to illustrate our whole person review process is by providing you with two examples of successful applicants. First, Meredith, and that's not her real name. She did not have the strongest high school transcript. She had grades ranging from A's to D's in high school. Her family circumstances in high school were rather difficult, and she was also bullied in school. So her high school years were a struggle. After graduation, she enrolled at a local community college where she took a number of classes, including history, biology, composition, math, psychology. Meredith ended up getting all grades in the A range in her college courses. She really turned her academic life around. She held student leadership positions at her community college and led many initiatives to make her college more community oriented. Her letters of recommendation from her community college instructors confirmed her contributions to the college and to the classroom. Her application essays revealed that she would contribute a different perspective to our campus and work to make Yale a better place. And we were happy to admit Meredith as a transfer student to Yale. Meredith received her associate's degree in 2019 and entered Yale that fall as a first semester junior. The second example is Bill, again, not his real name. Bill received mostly A's and B's in high school and enrolled immediately after graduation in a liberal arts program at a 4-year institution where he also received A's and B's. He left college after 2 years to work for a couple of startups. He took a few classes part-time at a community college while he was working full-time and received grades mostly in the A range. Unlike Meredith, Bill was not on a track to receive his associate's degree. Nonetheless, his intellectual passion really shone through his essays and recommendations. It was really clear to the admissions committee that he was ready to return to college to complete his bachelor's degree, and that's 8 years after graduating from high school. And from the application, the admissions committee felt that his life experiences, his professional background, and intellectual curiosity would be a welcome addition to our campus. And I hope that these two examples reveal that we seek students who will not only thrive academically at our colleges, but who will also contribute in other ways to our campuses. And though the examples that I'm giving you here are of Yale students, I think both of these cases are representative of students that we have at all 5 of our colleges. You may have noticed that I have not mentioned anything about standardized testing. While 4 out of our 5 colleges required the SAT or ACT prior to the COVID pandemic, all 5 of us are test optional this year because many SAT and ACT test dates were canceled. If you submit your test scores to us, we'll take them into consideration. But if you did not take any SATs or ACTs, or if you do not want to share your scores with us, that's completely fine. You will not be penalized in any way. We'll simply base the review of the application on the other application materials in the student's file. And I also want to spend a minute discussing an applicant's academic preparation. You know, for those of you who are applying for fall 2022, you've probably all made decisions about what you're taking for the spring semester. But for those of you who may be applying the year after, this may be helpful information. We all want to admit students who will succeed academically. So we want to be sure that whomever we admit are academically prepared. We expect students to present strong recent academic credentials with grades mostly in the A range on their college transcript. They don't have to be all A's, but you know, we do expect students to be doing well academically. The trajectory shown on your transcript is important. The admissions committee likes to see either a consistently strong academic record or a transcript that shows an upward trend in grades. It is not unusual for successful applicants to have had softer grades earlier in their educational careers. But as I said earlier, we do expect the transcript to show strong recent academic performance. No matter your intended major, it is important to have strong writing and quantitative skills. So it's helpful to see on the transcript courses that focus on analytical writing, such as composition, English, history, as well as classes that focus on quantitative reasoning, like math classes. Your courses should mostly be in the liberal arts and sciences. Some of your colleges may list them as general ed courses. Avoid taking criminal justice, communications, business classes, because we do not offer those on our campuses. Now, this does not mean that if you're currently studying business, for example, at your school, that you should not apply. That's not the case. But I would encourage you to include some liberal arts or gen ed courses in your program. If you have a choice to take classes in person or online, consider taking them in person. We do understand that this isn't always possible, especially given COVID disruptions. So it is fine to take online classes if they are the only options for you. Admissions to our colleges is highly selective, but I suggest that you consider applying if you have a strong recent academic record, wish to pursue a liberal arts education, and want to actively engage a campus community. Of course, you should also be sure to apply to colleges with a range of selectivity. I mean, that's simply prudent. And I understand that the admissions process can be stressful, and I hope that I've been able to demystify the admissions process at least a bit for you. So let me now hand the presentation over to my colleague Lexi from Amherst, who will share her thoughts on the essays and the letters of recommendation.
Thank you for all of that, Patricia. So Patricia was giving some sort of general information of things that we will look at as we are evaluating the application. And I'm going to dive in and speak a little bit more directly about some very specific parts of the application. And some of which, you are, especially if you're thinking about applying for fall 2022 entry, are probably very actively thinking about right now. So let me start off by talking about the student writing and essays. You will quickly learn that if you have gone to the Common Application or the Transfer Coalition application or other application platforms that we're using, that all of us do require some form of student writing and essays, and it will look different for each institution. I would suggest, and Alex B is going to have a wonderful tip slide coming up in a few slides here, that if you have not gone to any of these application platforms and looked at what the writing requirements are for our institutions, and you're thinking about perhaps applying to our institutions, that's something that would be good to do sooner rather than later, just so you can see what's going to be asked, how many different things are going to be asked for, because you don't want to be surprised about that very close up to the deadline. So all of us will require some form of personal statements or essays. And what we're really looking for in those pieces is something that tells us really about who you are in your journey. And that doesn't mean that you have a complete sort of vision of who you are going to be, who you have been, but it does require some reflection. And we do really value ones that are authentic to your experiences, that sort of cover the range of experiences and identities that you may have, and what you are bringing to your current institutions, what you may bring to our institutions. And it's okay if that's in progress. It's okay if that's something that you're like, hey, that's part of the reason that I'm hoping to go get a bachelor's degree, is because I'm excited about all the things that I still have to figure out. But the main message that I want to sort of relate to you today is to start with some of the influences and experiences that have most shaped you. That is what you should start with when you're thinking about writing these personal statements and essays. You should not be thinking about, hey, what is it that Lexi wants to hear? What is it that Patricia wants to hear? What is it that the admission committee wants to hear? And I'm going to write my essay about that. Oftentimes that piece of writing ends up being a fine piece of writing. It's put together well. It tells us something about you, but it sounds relatively generic. And I think of the folks that the essays that really stand out for us are the ones where someone has really sort of thought individually about your own experiences and your own journeys and relayed that to us. Most of us also have multiple different essays, not all of us, but some of us do. If we do have multiple essays, you should think about the essays as a collection, which is to say, use each one of those pieces of writing to demonstrate a slightly different aspect of your journey. So avoid telling the same story or conveying the same exact message to us in every essay that you're writing. That's not bad or wrong to do that necessarily, but I encourage you to think of that as a missed opportunity. So what we're doing as we are reviewing applications is trying to figure out sort of the pieces of the puzzle of who you are, what your experiences have been. And so give us more of those pieces to work with. So think about them as a collective if there are multiple ones. What does this one say? Is that slightly different than what this one is saying over here? Also, make them work for you. Answer the question to the essay, but also I know, especially in our transfer application pool, we have students who are returning to school. We have students who are coming right out of high school. They're very different sort of life places. And some of the questions that you are all asking in the Q&A reflect that. So make sure that if the essay question doesn't directly sort of say if it, something that you're thinking, oh my gosh, it sounds like it's written for somebody who might be just coming out of high school. Well, make it sort of work for your current experience as well, because we want that to happen. And that happens particularly with the things like the common application and things like that. So you'll hear us just sort of like, hey, answer the question in a way that still relays some of that personal information to us. Also know that your essays are not going to capture everything about you or all of your experiences. Fitting that into a piece of writing is rarely great writing. So just come to accept that right now, is that it's not going to have the whole picture of everything that's ever influenced you or happened to you. So pick out the main salient points. Also know that you may be able to reuse sort of the bones or the body of one essay for multiple schools. I would suggest that if the questions are significantly different, that you definitely address and edit those essays to address the questions. But a lot of times, especially when I tell you to start with the influences and experiences that have most shaped you, those are not different if you're applying to Yale or Amherst or Pomona or Princeton or Yale. Those general sort of life experiences tend to be the same. So sometimes you can work with the same information there. Know that there's not often a right or wrong. There's not a right or wrong answer. There's not the thing that we're looking for or these catchphrases that we're looking for students to say. And if you're struggling with trying to know what to include in these essays, I would encourage you to use a little rule of thumb that I have is to spend a third of your essay talking about sort of your past, maybe a third about the present, and a third about a little bit about the future. And that can really be helpful in helping you frame an essay that doesn't focus far too heavily in the past or only look future facing and not tell us things about how you've come to be who you are today or where you are currently. So those are some of my advice. Start early and edit. So have a few people read your essays if you feel comfortable doing that. Someone who knows you well, perhaps someone who works at your institution. And questions that I would have, that I would ask your editor would be, one, to give them some feedback on things that you're looking for. Are you looking for grammar? Are you looking for thematic feedback, right? But two, does this essay sound like me? And if it doesn't, maybe there's some editing to do. And what were your impressions of me from reading this essay? Those two questions in particular, I think, are really great things to ask somebody if you ask them to read your essays. We also have some short answers. Some of us have something called analytical writing. That's an opportunity to showcase something that's a little bit more formal academic writing. You'll find that the personal essays should be well written, but those are different kinds of essays that you're going to be writing than a critical reflection in your history class or something like that. There are other areas of writing, of course, in the application, the additional information, other questions that we have in there too. Those are important. And if you have questions about that, we can address those a little bit later on. I think I'll move on to the recommendations. Awesome. And all of us also require recommendations. All of the institutions here require multiple recommendations. And we use those recommendations to learn more about you as a student and as a community member. What kind of student are you? Are you the kind of student that dives into the most challenging topics, essays? Do you participate in class quite a bit? Or do you tend to play it safe? What kinds of projects do you really excel at? How did you grow? How did you respond to feedback? Those are all wonderful things that a recommender can tell us that add a lot more color and depth to who you are as a student than for us just looking at a transcript. So the transcript is certainly important. We want to know, how do your skills translate into academic work? But these recommendations are really important to us as well to help us learn more about how you are as a thinker, how you are as a person, how you are as a community member. I would suggest, if you can, a professor, teacher. We did get a question about a teaching assistant. Teaching assistant would be okay for this as well, to choose for your academic instructors. Ideally, I would say from a 3-credit course or a higher course, because those tend to have more academic material that you're working with. And the more challenging academic material that you may be working with, the more feedback that they may have given you, or the more challenges that you may have overcome. So there may be more to work with in terms of a recommendation there. As Patricia mentioned, some of the coursework that we recommend, those would be some of the courses that I would most likely recommend if you have choices of who to choose as a recommender. So whether that's science, technology, mathematics, humanities, social sciences, foreign languages, some of those classes tend to be the ones that are going to be most akin to the classes that we offer. And therefore, if you have those opportunities and you're thinking about who do I choose for my recommender, I might lean in that direction. Advisors generally okay if they've taught you in an academic course as well. And some of us do allow high school teachers to provide some of these academic recommendations and some of us do not. So that would be something to reach out to us individually about. Other recommendations are also available on our application platforms. Those are often optional. These are not submitted by most applicants and certainly not submitted by most applicants, I would say, that have a journey that they've gone right from high school to college. But if they are used, I would limit them to one perhaps. These tend to be somebody from an employer, a volunteer position, an internship, could be an advisor. The one exception I think that we see many folks using another recommendation would be those of you who have served in the US military or are currently serving in the US military. They often submit an optional sort of an other recommendation. And those can be very, very helpful for us in that. Sometimes we get a question about the college report. Is the college report a recommendation? It is not a recommendation. So if that person does not know you personally, that is completely okay. That is someone that just has access to your academic records. Other tips that I may have about this, I think I'll hold off on some of that. What I will say, and I'll ask, some specific questions came in certainly about COVID and recommendations, and I think that is an important thing to mention. So I'm going to hold off on that until the Q&A, but those are really great questions to have, and I have some really sort of concrete tips for you all who are working in an online environment right now where it may be more challenging to feel like you can get a robust recommendation from somebody as well.
So hopefully you've taken in just all of these really helpful and critical tips that my colleagues have just shared about the application process. I'll now spend a little bit of time talking about some of the pieces that we might consider post-admission, though some of these kind of coincide with applications as well, which is financial aid and credit transferability. And I know these are both topics that came up a lot in some of the pre-submitted questions, in the Q&A, I'm sure it's coming up again. And often this is just something that we talk about with students because it's critically important to thinking about fit and to thinking about what institution might be right for you. The first thing that I'll just say is that when it comes to financial aid, all of the institutions here today offer very generous financial aid programs. It's part of the reason that we travel together as well, is because we are all very committed to making sure that our institutions are as affordable as possible for as many students as possible. So this is something that will be true for any of the institutions here today, and something that you'll get to learn about as soon as you get your admit letter. If you are admitted to our institutions, you will get a financial aid package with that. We focus on need-based aid at our schools. So what that really means is that we're looking at your individual financial situation, maybe your parents' financial situation if you're not an independent student, but looking at the financial situation that you have and determining how much you and or your family can pay towards college, and then how much you need beyond that to cover the cost of attendance at our institutions. And so that's what need-based really is. It's about your individual situation and determining what aid is necessary for you to be able to afford attendance at our institutions. I use the term cost of attendance as well, because we really do think about this in the most comprehensive sense possible. So when we're talking about addressing your need, we're talking about it in terms of tuition, certainly, but also in terms of room and board, in terms of personal expenses, potentially travel expenses if you're going back and forth to another place you're calling home, all of the different pieces, books, all of the different pieces that come with attendance at our colleges. And so really doing our best to address all of those right from the get-go so that you can have your focus on being a student, thriving as a student, and really taking advantage of everything that our campuses have to offer. We also know that even through the application process itself, there can often be costs that arise. And sometimes those costs can be obstacles for students. There might be a cost to apply to our institutions. Some of us are free for transfer students as a whole, others might have a fee, but fee waivers, no matter what, are widely available at all of our institutions. So please know that at any stage in the process with the application, with the financial aid applications as well, there's one that most of us require called the CSS profile that does have a fee. Again, there are waivers available for that. So just know that when these fees come up, if they are a burden for you, don't let those stop you from applying or finishing off your application to any of our institutions. We are absolutely happy to provide fee waivers for those that need them. And I mentioned this at the beginning, but I'll say it again, that if you do apply and you are admitted to our institutions, as soon as you are admitted, assuming you have completed your applications for financial aid, you will receive your financial aid package with your admit letter. So you'll know nice and early on what this actually will play out like for you. What are the fine details of your financial aid situation? And so you'll have time as well to ask us questions, to make sure you're fully understanding all of the information you've received before you have to make a decision about whether or not to attend one of our institutions. So just know that we build in plenty of time for that conversation, and certainly have many folks available to students to have those kinds of one-on-one discussions about your individual situation as well. I mentioned already that our financial aid programs are really comprehensive, thinking about the full cost of attendance. You'll see that when you receive a financial aid package, but you can certainly read more about it on our websites as well to get a little bit of the fine details about that, or certainly ask any of those questions. But just know again that we are really trying to think through what are all the many costs that arise for you as a student at our institutions, and how can we do our best to build those right into your financial aid package. To receive financial aid as well, you do have to apply for financial aid, as I kind of alluded to. So pretty much all of us, at least for domestic students, might require the FAFSA application. You might hear of the CSS profile application. There may be an institution specific application. But whatever the financial aid applications that you have to do, please know that those are generally due right around the same time as your application. It might be a little later than the application, but generally it's pretty similar to the application deadline. So as you're working on your college application, it is important to also start working on your financial aid applications and making sure that you have those pretty ready to go so that you can submit them right around the same time and get all of the paperwork in, so that, as I mentioned, if you're admitted, you can get that financial aid package right on time and know exactly what it is that you're dealing with. So just keep an eye on that as well. And again, of course, we are always available to help, so reach out if you have questions about those. The benefit of our institutions, I think on the whole, but also when it comes to something like financial aid, is that we really do try to make this a very student-centered, individualized process, both in terms of how we review your financial aid situation and how we put together your package, but also in terms of the support that we offer, which is why I keep saying don't hesitate to reach out with questions. Also, when it comes to post-admission and to potentially, when you're in that space of being admitted to one of our institutions, the other thing that we will provide to you is a transferable credit review. So I know there have already been questions asked about, is this transferable, or what about this situation, or anything like that? And we'll do our best to answer those in some broad strokes tonight. But please know that you will get that individualized transferable credit review with your admit letter, should you be admitted. And that will give you the kind of detailed knowledge that you need to know exactly what you would be coming in with and what your class standing might be at our institutions. In kind of general terms, we really tend to make transferable courses that are similar to those that are offered at our institutions. So as Patricia kind of mentioned before, this is really those liberal arts and sciences courses. If you're taking liberal arts and sciences courses, generally those are transferable to all of our institutions. I've been getting a lot of questions about, especially in recent times with COVID, is online courses. And that's a bit institution specific. So we each have slightly different policies around that, but we have all offered some level of flexibility and kind of change our policies slightly to be mindful of the fact that many, many more students are having to take online courses because of COVID. And we understand that. So please know that there is some flexibility being offered there, and online courses may be transferable, but the fine details of that is a bit different institution to institution. So we can certainly speak more about that with students that have questions, but know that it's a possibility that they may be transferable. But as I said, in general, liberal arts and sciences courses are the classes that tend to be transferable. And as Patricia mentioned, there certainly is a benefit to students when you can take in-person courses, both I think for your own learning experiences, but also in terms of the likelihood of transferability. So we'll talk more about any of these pieces that you might have questions about as we move forward, but I'll hand it over now to Alex Buston, who will give you some advice on the application.
Thank you, Alex. Hi again, everyone. Alex Buston from Princeton again, and here now to talk to you a little bit about next steps. So you've heard a lot of great information from my colleagues talking about the individual aspects of the admission process and the general approach. So the next question might be, for students who are applying this year, so for the next term being for fall 2022 entry, what are the next steps? What are the things to focus on right now? So I've kind of split this up into two parts. First of all, the things you can do right now. I said next week because it's Sunday evening or whatever, but the things you can start doing next week and start thinking about. And first of all is the process, and I think some of you are already here are, don't rule out colleges that maybe seem too selective or expensive. First of all, ask about application fee waivers in addition to all the great financial aid resources we have to help make it affordable. But also, a lot of you have asked live and in advance about admission rates and how many transfers and what are my chances. And your chances are very much individualized and are not represented by admission rates. Yes, you're applying across the entire pool, but you are who you are, and whether you're competitive or not is a part of the application process. And, you know, obviously the chance of chance of admission if you don't apply is absolutely zero. So, you know, there are great opportunities to get assistance with this and financial and otherwise. So definitely don't rule out those colleges. Aim high. And if those of you who are here live tonight or watching the recording, you're already making the step in considering some of the strongest and most selective programs in the country that absolutely admit students like yourself from community colleges as well. And I would just also mention, don't forget concurrent financial aid applications. So as you're looking at the timeline and mapping out your plan, keep in mind that financial aid application more or less concurrent with a similar deadline at or slightly after our application deadlines. And that will allow you to do that at the same time, allow enough time so that if you are admitted, you'll be able to view your financial aid award as well. If you are applying this year, set up your application account. Most of us, I believe all of us, use Common Application or Coalition Application. These are general application platforms that allow you to apply using that to several colleges using that one account from that platform and answer the individual questions. Now, some of them might be other. It might be another different platform, or some institutions don't use a common or general platform, and they might have an institution-specific platform or application themselves. So definitely make sure that you are aware of what that will take. Refer to the online checklist that will list that information about what applications they submit, as well as what not only the timeline, but also the required materials. What transcripts do they require? What application supporting recommendations and so forth are required as well. And that will allow you to make a plan, to chart out a timeline for how you'll submit those supporting documents. If the deadline is March 1st, don't be asking for on February 20th for a recommendation. You know, you definitely want to give your recommender or those submitting your transcripts a little bit more time in advance of the deadline. But it is usually, I'd say sometimes okay, if those supporting materials arrive after the application deadline. Make sure that you submit your application by that deadline. If something comes the week after or 2 weeks after, I say sometimes because this depends on the institution, but for us, we understand there's a lot of pressure that you and your teachers and instructors are under to submit things on time. We will usually accept those afterwards and add them as long as you do your best to get them all in by the deadline, with the exception of midterm grades. You can submit those a little bit later in March or early April once you have kind of an in-progress grade to submit. Again, start thinking about who your references will be. Again, so you give them enough time to respond and to submit a recommendation, and also to make sure that aligns with the overall requirements of the academic requirements or non-academic requirements for each individual program. As was said earlier, think about how you'll convey your experiences and your story and your perspectives on the written parts of the application. There was a lot of good advice on that earlier. So start thinking, rough notes. Obviously, you want to spend some time going over it, but just make some notes. What are the first things that come to mind? Just the first, experiences that you want to talk about that align with your interest at the next level and how you want to convey that on the application. And then also, even tomorrow or today or next week, connect with your supporting resources in your college and beyond. And many of you will have maybe transfer counselors or academic advisors and so forth that can work with you on your campus. Connect with them and whatever support they might be able to provide. And there are also third-party organizations as well, what we call community-based organizations or CBOs that work with students, not usually nonprofits, so not at any charge to you to assist with the process, and they can help to connect you with this. And particularly valuable for students who have maybe been out of college for a time or out of high school for a time and are non-traditional students. Very commonly, military students fall into this category as well. And that's why there are several that we wanted to mention here as well. For those of you who are watching live or on the recording, on the next slide, we have just some very strong partners that we work with that are well established on the next, at the next step as you work to convey your experience with from the military and just help us to contextualize your overall trajectory. So Alex, if you could just see the next slide, that'd be great. The main three partners that we work with are the Leadership Scholar Program, which works primarily with Marines, Service to School, which will work with anyone in any branch of service, regardless of whether you're still active duty, you're separated a while ago. These will help you with the application process. And these are nonprofit institutions that, nonprofit organizations that work free of charge, but are managed by veterans themselves who have been in this process. And also the Warrior Scholar Project, which is also a nonprofit, but rather than an advising capacity, helps to provide some more academic workshops in addition to what you might have done, taught by institutions and faculty at our institutions as well. So definitely recommend checking those out. And also for those of you who are military related, we did have a session earlier focused on military students as well. And the URL is there as well. We'll follow up with that information as well. So that's the next stage, things you can do right now. The next step is when you're actually in the application and looking at the application next steps. I listed the application deadlines here for us as well. They're all pretty much within a couple of weeks of each other or a month of each other. I have them listed chronologically as well. So make sure to pay attention to those. And as you're writing the essay, and as you're refining those responses, make sure you're answering those application essay questions. Make sure you're telling us about you uniquely, but also you uniquely thinking about the next step at one of our institutions. When you're talking about whether it's in the written parts of the application or listing your activities, don't limit what your definition of extracurricular activity is as well. Keep in mind, extracurricular means beyond the curriculum. That is beyond your academic curriculum. Anything that is outside of your academic work, whether it's activities or clubs that you choose to be involved in, or it's things that you choose or out of necessity have to do, such as full-time or part-time work, family responsibilities, that's extracurricular as well, because that speaks to your time management and your ability to manage your coursework in addition to those responsibilities. And definitely explain limitations, whether it's limitations based on your requirements to work, whether it's COVID related, whether it's both. We understand that there's a lot of different circumstances limiting a lot of different people, and everybody's abilities and opportunities to get involved in those things are different. So explain those to us, and our contextual analysis and evaluation of what you've done will definitely be based on that as well. There are some that are very COVID specific questions, but some that are just telling us about what you're doing outside of that. And if you work full-time and you go to school part-time or full-time, we're absolutely not expecting you to get involved in 10 other clubs as well. There's just not enough hours in the day to do that and eat and sleep. So again, don't spend too much time thinking you have to be involved in those clubs, because you can absolutely maybe get involved in those at the next stage if that's something you're interested in. Do note that updates and supporting materials can usually be submitted after the application deadline, as I said, not just sent to us directly like supporting materials, but also through an applicant portal, which I mentioned towards the end as well. But for all students, this kind of more applies for, I would say, older or non-traditional students. If you have either a trajectory or an unusual circumstances, a non-traditional or post-traditional experience, or maybe just 1 or 2 semesters earlier on a few years ago that didn't go very well, don't think that talking about that and explaining that is tantamount to making up excuses. That information is helpful for us to know, because if there were impeding circumstances, or maybe you just weren't mature and ready at that time, but you're ready now, that's helpful for us to know. So use the additional information sections on the application, submit a CV or a resume if that covers some gaps in your education as well. But as was said, I think several times before, remember that we're evaluating your preparedness now on who you are now and who you have been as a student and as a member of the community in the last few years or so. So if you weren't that ideal student and community member a few years ago, but things have changed and you're mature, that's great. Explain those circumstances, but we're looking at who you are now. And then finally, again, keep track of your application through the applicant portal. As I said, you'll be able to see the transcripts and materials that are submitted in addition to that. But it'll also allow you to maybe ping somebody who might need to send something, or get in touch with us if there's any questions that we can help with in terms of getting the material, if it's lost somewhere in our office or whatever. These things don't happen too often, but we do try to make sure that we're there to assist you with completing your application. But again, so these are all things that to focus on between when you're approaching the application coming up starting next week, and then when you actually get ready to submit that the following by the application deadline. So I'm going to pause there, and at this juncture we've kind of covered the main general parts of the application process. And since a lot of you are interested, I based on the questions at least you've asked about our individual institutions, what those transfer communities and programs are like, we're going to very quickly go top to bottom in alphabetical order and just give you a quick snapshot of each individual institution, starting with Lexi at Amherst.
All right. Thank you, Alex. So I'm here to tell you a little bit about Amherst College, if you're not already familiar with it. And if you are familiar with it, you'll learn a little bit more. Amherst is a small residential liberal arts college. We have about 1,850 undergraduate students, and we're named after the town of Amherst, which is in the western part of Massachusetts. We are an undergraduate institution only, so we do not have any graduate programs at Amherst. However, As is the case with all of the other institutions here, we have many, many students. In fact, 80% of our students will go on to graduate programs all around the country and the world within 5 years of graduating. So our students do very well in getting advanced degrees as well. Two specific things that I want to highlight about Amherst College. One is that we have something called an open curriculum. And this provides the ultimate flexibility and a lot of responsibility coming with it as well. What open curriculum generally means is that we do not have general education courses. So while many of you may be focused on taking general education courses right now at your community colleges, those are great foundational courses for us. Many of those are going to transfer, but I am not concerned with whether or not those are going to fulfill our gen ed requirements that we have at Amherst, because we do not have them. We do require that students complete a major, and your major will have some requirements associated with that. And we do require that students attend Amherst College full time. But beyond that, the course selections that you're choosing are completely up to you in consultation with your advisor. So it really does allow students to maximize the time that you have on campus, particularly as a transfer student, and to really think critically about what it is that you want to gain from your education. The other item that I want to talk about that's specific to Amherst is that we're a member of something called the 5 College Consortium. So in our little area, in our corner of Western Massachusetts, there are 4 other institutions that we partner with. Amherst College is the 5th college of the 5 College Consortium. And that affords access to about 5,000 additional courses and hundreds of other student clubs that students can participate in completely free of charge. The other institutions are Mount Holyoke College, Smith College, Hampshire College, and the University of Massachusetts at Amherst. We're all about 10 minutes to 15 minutes drive within one distance of one another. Amherst College is actually within a mile or two of the other institutions, but there's about 30,000 students that are right in our area. So in many ways, you get the benefits of being at a really small institution like Amherst, small class sizes, student to faculty ratio, and things like that, but also some of the resources of being at a much larger institution. Specific to our transfer student community, we have, as we've already mentioned here today, very much value our community college transfer students. We've done that since about 2006, and over 50% of our enrolled transfer students are first generation lower income community college transfer students over the past 15 years. We do have a spring program and a fall program for entry, so that's one of the distinguishing factors for us here. And we have a transfer student cohort of about 60 to 65 students who are on campus at any given time. Happy to answer any additional questions that you may have about Amherst via email or in the Q&A. Thank you again for joining. I'm going to pass along to Pomona next.
All right, thank you very much. Glad to be back with you. I want to tell you a little bit about Pomona. We're located in Southern California. We're 35 miles east of Los Angeles in the town of Claremont, California. That's in LA County. So as many of you may know, LA is the 2nd largest city in the country. It's a cultural mecca, lots of different things going on all the time in Los Angeles. And you'll get access, of course, to an incredible city, but you'll be situated in a college town in Claremont of about 35,000 large. There are actually 7 institutions in Claremont. We are part of the Claremont colleges, 2 graduate and 5 undergraduate institutions. And Pomona is the largest of the undergraduate institutions with about 1,650 students on our campus. We're an incredibly diverse campus. We have a lot of support for that diverse community on our campus. As I talked about earlier, we value transfer students and community college students. About half of our students who transfer in every year are from community colleges, and many of them from California community colleges, of which we know there are so many great community colleges in California. We offer mentorship resources for transfer students and cohort programs and mentorship programs for veteran students. We also have great support for our DACA students and our undocumented students. And we have a significant number of students on campus who are part of larger mentorship or academic cohort programs to help them get to graduation. Pomona itself is part of the Claremont Consortium, which means you have access to Pitzer College, Claremont McKenna College, Scripps College, Harvey Mudd College, and then together with Pomona, the classes, the extracurricular activities, the dining halls, We are a school of 1,600 that feels a bit like a school of 6,000. It is an incredible combination that allows students to be in a small liberal arts setting, but with the feel of a much larger institution and access to significant resources, including financial aid, as we've all talked about here today. Pomona's financial aid program, like my colleagues, is strong and no loan and allows students to graduate with minimal to no debt, which is critical for launching you into a successful career. So with that, I'll give it off to Alex at Princeton, and we'll learn a little bit about Princeton.
Thank you, Adam. So once again, Alex from Princeton, and there's my email address. If anyone wants to get in touch with me, if you haven't already, I'd be happy to answer any specific questions you have about Princeton, but I'll just give you the bullet points here as well in the interest of time. So Princeton is located in Princeton, New Jersey. It's a small suburban town right in the middle between New York City and Philadelphia. And we combine being both a major research university and a small liberal arts college, one that's very focused on its undergraduates. And this ratio here of our student population really helps to illustrate that. It's a pretty unique ratio to have almost twice as many undergraduates in a small setting as graduate students, about 5,300 undergraduates, outnumbering close to 3,000 grad students. So again, a good benefit of having a very student-centered experience like a liberal arts college, but one that gives you the major access to major academic resources and faculty that are leaders in their relative fields. Because of that, and because of that ratio, we are able to guarantee research and housing opportunities for all of our undergraduates. That's for all years of attendance on campus or off campus if you choose to do that. But we do have family housing available for students who are coming with spouses or dependents or pets or otherwise. Our transfer program is relatively new. It was reinstated in 2018, so we've had 4 cycles, and it was specifically reinstated with community college students and U.S. military veterans in mind. So to a person, just about every student we've admitted during that time has been a community college student or a veteran or both. Expansion is upcoming as well. The timing for that has not yet been determined, but we are starting this year to expand the overall student population. So we'll get closer to a little bit closer to 6,000 undergraduates total from 5,300 over a several year process. When that will apply to the transfer program has yet to be determined. As you see here below, about 13 to 17 transfer students are admitted every year. Whether we'll expand that this year or in a future year has yet to be determined, but that is upcoming. But we are fall term entry only. The application deadline, as I said earlier, is March 1st. Financial aid application deadline is shortly after that. But again, with our students, they're just about all of them are community college students or military affiliated. And they are all supported by our Director of Transfer, Veteran, and Non-Traditional Student Programs and the associate student populations as well. Student Veterans Organization, our Princeton Transfer Organization, and with the expansion of potentially this year or in future years very soon, the student population that will be expanded, those resources are about to be expanded as well. And just about all of our transfer students are qualifying for and receiving full financial aid grant tuition and living expenses covered in that as well. So we have the resources available for transfer students. Again, another benefit of being an undergraduate centric university, and that's those resources financially are available for them as well, in addition to the academic and non-academic support resources. So here's our link for more information about the application process, as well as the Instagram handles, our Princeton Transfer Association and Princeton Veterans. They would love to hear from you, so feel free to get in touch with them as well. So now I will pass it on to Alex D'Adezio to speak about Williams.
Thanks, Alex. So I'll talk next about Williams College. Williams is also located in Western Massachusetts, so similar to our Amherst peers, just a little bit away from them. We're a small liberal arts college with about 2,100 students. And similar to much of what my colleagues share, we offer some of that flexibility, that really interdisciplinary learning, and that really strong sense of community. We also have a really unique offering called the tutorial class. And the tutorial class is something that Williams is really one of the only institutions in the United States to do. It's a type of class that we offer during the regular semester with just 2 students and 1 professor. It's pretty much as small as you can get as far as classes go. The average class size is 13 students in general, so we always have small classes available to students. But this one takes it to the max and also offers a really unique structure. I won't go into a lot of the details here, but really it's just about a kind of collaborative sharing, a back and forth academic exchange, where a lot of the academic ownership really gets taken on by the students. You get to do a deep dive into the content and your skills, and it's often one of students' favorite experiences that they can have at Williams, and that's available in all of our different areas of study. When it comes to the transfer veteran and non-traditional student community specifically, we have a transfer veteran non-traditional student community that's very immersed in our campus. It's Students choose to come to Williams often because they're able to be a Williams student first and foremost, have access to really anything that any other Williams student does, but also have some of the specific supports they might need and require. Over 80% of our current transfer and veteran students attended community colleges, so that's definitely a strong focus of our programs. And we admit about 15 to 20 a year, and it is a community that we're looking to grow a bit on our campus over the next few years. We offer, as I mentioned on an earlier slide, we offer really robust financial aid. The average package for the average grant for transfer students is about $70,000, so quite significant. And 100% of, or sorry, not 100, about 95% of our transfer students receive financial aid. So very robust program. Definitely students with financial need are welcomed into this community as well. And as I mentioned, some of these opportunities for transfer veteran specific supports, we have multiple different housing options. We have students that have chosen to live on campus in the dorms. We have students that have chosen to live off campus, but even the off campus housing is provided by Williams. So you don't have to do your own housing search. We still provide that for you. And that can be accommodating to students living on their own who are older, but students who are bringing a spouse or partner, students who are bringing custodial children. So different situations can be accommodated as well. But housing is guaranteed for us during your entire time at Williams. We also offer flexibility with transferable credit. So when we review your transferable credit, we'll tell you how much you can bring in, and you can say, great, I want all of that. Or you can say, I actually only want to take some of that transferable credit. I want to relinquish some portion of it or even all of it and start over again as a first year student or somewhere in between that. And we do have actually the majority of our students ultimately choose to do that, mostly because once they get to Williams, they find there are so many amazing opportunities that they just really want to have time to take advantage of all of them. And so you have until the end of your first year to make that decision. We do have a Dean of Transfer and Veteran Students specifically on campus. She's a wonderful support to students, helps to run an orientation for students as they come in, and many other different kinds of programming. I'll just quickly plug too that we have a series of virtual transfer and veteran student chats coming up. This will be a really informal chance to just get to talk to some of our current students, ask questions, hear a little bit about their experiences. Those are available now on our website, and there'll be 5 sessions throughout January that you can sign up for. But please don't hesitate to ever also just reach out to me. My email is here on the slide and will be again at the end. I'm always happy to hear from students and be another support. And with that, I will hand it over to Patricia at Yale.
Thank you, Alex. It looks like we have a really robust Q&A going on. I'm really thrilled about that. We have, great discussions going on here. But anyways, back to Yale. Yale is located in New Haven, Connecticut. It's the largest university among our group of 5 colleges tonight. Yet Yale College, our undergraduate program, offers an intimate liberal arts and science education. Yale students take advantage of many of the resources of our 13 graduate and professional schools and benefit from a more personal undergraduate experience. The student to faculty ratio is only 6 to 1. 3/4 of our classes have 20 students or fewer in them, and our undergraduates are even assigned to their own personal librarian. I think that's pretty cool. A majority of our students conduct research during their time at Yale. I can promise you that your Yale experience will be unlike any other educational experience that you have had so far. There are 3 pathways to apply to Yale. The first year and transfer options are pretty self-explanatory. The Eli Whitney Students Program is a unique and more flexible program designed specifically for adult students wishing to pursue a traditional in-person Yale undergraduate education. No matter which of these 3 pathways students come through, they receive the same bachelor's degrees as well as they can also take advantage of the same extracurricular activities and take the same classes as all other undergraduate students. 30 to 40 students are admitted each year as transfers in Eli Whitney students. Usually at least half were admitted from 2-year colleges. And if you forget everything I say tonight, it is okay. We're throwing lots of information at you. We'll send you a link with the recording of the session. But I do want you to remember that Yale is affordable. In addition to generous need-based financial aid, we have funding for student research and abroad opportunities. Yale does not use student loans to meet financial need. For students on financial aid with children and who have qualifying childcare expenses, we'll provide a childcare subsidy. I also have some exciting financial aid news for those of you who might be applying as Eli Whitney students. Unlike other Yale undergraduates, Eli Whitney students have the option to take classes full or part-time. And to accommodate students who may not wish to pursue a full course load, not only do we meet 100% of a student's financial need, Eli Whitney students are eligible for aid up to 150% of their program length at time of admission. So this is actually kind of a new policy. So let me explain this. I'll give you an example. A student transferring to Yale as a first semester junior, and if that student were a full-time student, would be granted 4 semesters of enrollment to complete a Yale bachelor's degree. However, a student in the Eli Whitney Students Program entering as a first semester junior is eligible for 6 semesters, not just 4, of financial aid to complete a bachelor's degree. This is a very generous financial aid policy that we have for Eli Whitney students. It allows them to have the luxury of taking their time at Yale if they wish to do so. And this is really sort of unusual, right? Where you know, colleges actually give you 150% of the time kind of allotted to you in terms of financial aid. And at this point, I'm sure that you have even more questions for us. So I'll turn the presentation over to Alex Buston, who will moderate our Q&A.
Thanks so much, Patricia, and thanks to all of my colleagues for getting through this main content of the presentation. And this is a time where, as Patricia said, and my colleague said earlier, we'll turn the presentation over to you to answer your questions that you have been submitting by the hundreds in advance with your registration, but also those of you asking those questions live in the Q&A tool. We've done our best to try to answer those and type them as possible, but we'll do our best to answer them now as well. And just pointing out on this slide, we've listed also our application deadlines as well. And also the registration link as well. Many of you have already registered, and that's why you're here. But if you happen to be watching this live and you didn't register, you're watching it elsewhere, you got the link elsewhere, we do encourage registering anyway, just to help us keep in track of the fact that you did register. But also, as we said earlier, we do hope to send a recording of the session to everyone who's registered, including those who did not attend live. So do go ahead and do that with the link there. And then also we did an October session for community college students more broadly about the process and kind of our perspectives on community college students. So definitely encourage you to check that out through the tiny URL here as well. So for some of the questions that came through, one that came through, I think, several times in terms of the nature of the times we are in and what academic experiences, and also non-academic experiences, have been like for many of you due to COVID. So Lexi, I'll ask this one to you, specifically about academic recommendations, especially if academic recommenders have not been teaching students in person and the students feel they don't know the students as well. How should the student approach those recommendations and the overall component of the application?
Yeah, that's a great question. I was actually just typing out an answer there, but I feel like that's probably something that's on many of your minds, and particularly on your minds, given the fact that I know that at many institutions out there, including some of the four-year institutions that we have on the call here, we're really thinking about what even the spring semester is going to look like. Maybe it's a delayed start. Maybe some of the classes are going to start online. And so there's just a huge sort of uncertainty about a lot of things that are happening right now. And know that we understand that. We're humans too. We're going to be humans that are reading your applications. And what I'm going to ask of you is that you let us know a little bit about some of that context if you can. The additional information section is a great place to put in some of that information. So if you're really concerned about that, you can put in a sentence, 2 sentences that just says, hey, online courses were the only courses that were available to me during this time. And I just wanted to let you know that, provide that context as I had to ask some of my recommenders who were only able to teach me in an online format. There's also a variety of different online formats that we understand, and those are going to be some synchronous, some asynchronous. That's just sometimes what is available to you. What I would suggest for those of you who really have not had the opportunity to closely engage with faculty in the same way that you'd be able to do that if you were taking in-person classes. When you reach out to a faculty member to ask them for a letter of recommendation, a few things. You can perhaps ask for a virtual meeting. Some of your professors may have a virtual office hours that you could drop into, but certainly when you're reaching out to them or in an email, you can ask them if there's any information that they might use that would be helpful for them to know. Some things that you may want to just offer from the get-go, a short paragraph about what you loved about the class, a few projects that you worked on that were really influential to you in that class. That could sometimes jog the professor's memory. Oh yeah, actually we didn't have a lot of discussion about this because it was an online class, but I remember this paper now that the student had submitted there. And I'm going to maybe include a short snippet about that in my recommendation. Something else would be a little bit about your reasons for transferring. Why are you asking this particular professor, or where's your head at in terms of the transfer process? Some of those conversations are things that might have generally come up with, in the small talk that you have in between classes as you're leaving or coming. And sometimes that can just be helpful to offer up. Again, not substantial essay long pieces there, but sometimes that can be helpful. And certainly do reach out to them. I did mention this in my slide, but give them a letter of thank you once they have submitted your recommendations. Please do that. It means the world as somebody that writes recommendations for students to hear a little bit about where you're going to end up attending, perhaps after you've been admitted and decided to enroll elsewhere. And that also means that it's okay to give them a little bit of a push around a deadline if you think that they haven't had a chance to submit that yet. But thank yous are very important, even if electronic, if not the paper kind. So anyway, I hope that's helpful to some of you.
Definitely. Thank you, Lex. I think we would definitely all echo that. Adam, I'll pitch the next one to you, given that you talked a little bit about the liberal arts approach. And this question came up several times in our advanced questions as well as tonight, but specifically the alignment between the courses or majors students are taking now, maybe for their associates. What if they want to do something different, or maybe apply and maybe do a different major that's not represented or they haven't been doing in their prior college?
Yeah, it's a good question, and it does come up a lot. And I think the short answer is generally we encourage students to think about their major when they're coming in part because it does have an impact sometimes in who your advisor might be and how many credits that will transfer over. But it's not a requirement that you complete the bachelor's degree in the area that you applied for at our institution because you have an associate's degree in that area. So the reality is maybe you come in as a biology major and you have an associate's in biology, but maybe you end up with a bachelor's in physics or in chemistry. Maybe you change areas. The research at Pomona often says that for our transfer students, when they transfer, they may transfer into another major, but they don't necessarily transfer into another area. So we don't see biologists completing a bachelor's degree in art history, for example, but we may see a history major completing a bachelor's degree, a potential history major completing a bachelor's degree in economics, right? They might stay in social sciences, but they don't necessarily go into maybe the STEM field. So there are some areas where you can be pretty flexible, and none of us are going to hold you to that. But I will say, for those of you who are transferring in after 2 years, you should just bear in mind that you're going to bring in a lot of credits in a particular area. And so a lot of the changes that you make will generally be able to be accommodated. And some of them may be more complicated to accommodate if you're looking to do a completely different area of study than you intended to pursue your associate's degree with. I hope that wasn't a little muddy. I don't know if my colleagues will want to chime in there, but the general response is yes, it's totally fine, but you do need to sort of pay a little bit of attention to that major coming in, especially if you're coming in as a third-year student after completing that full associate's.
I think it also goes to, as was asked in a live question about majoring and also double majoring as well. So I think you definitely clarified that, Adam. And I'll just add, since there was a mention about certificates, which I think might be at least partly unique to Princeton, is that that is basically the equivalent of a minor, as was suggested. That is kind of the replacement for a double major, which I think is much more common at Yale, for example, whereas at Princeton, it's more of one major and several certificate programs as well. Another question came up, Patricia. I'll mention to you because it looks like coming from a student with a more non-traditional trajectory. Some of the examples you provide, specifically if there are a number of withdrawals or maybe even F courses in a prior college transcript, does that disqualify a student? And knowing that you're going to say obviously no, why not?
That's correct. The answer is no. It's not unusual, and even if it's a student who's applying as a traditional transfer student, to see some withdrawals on their transcripts. Yale students withdraw from their classes. But if there are sort of a large number of withdrawals, I think it is helpful for us to get an idea of why that is the case and to put that in the additional information section. Sometimes it's because maybe you're a veteran, you're being deployed and you have to withdraw. It could be that your professional or family responsibilities came into play and you had to withdraw, so that's completely fine. And if you have, one or two classes that are withdrawals, I mean, yeah, I don't think that you necessarily need to explain that, but if you do want to, that's always helpful. But it should not preclude you from applying to our institutions, and we will certainly pay much more attention to how you have done in your other classes.
Absolutely. And stressing again, as I said earlier, and I think all of us have said, not just with academic work, but any other circumstances, if there are things to explain, use those extra additional information or details of circumstances to explain suboptimal circumstances, academic or otherwise. I can guarantee you, we at Princeton, I believe all 5 of us and others do have students who have failed classes, who have maybe even failed out of college, and have maybe had other issues that are not academic that they have come past and are no longer an issue for them as well. So definitely that is not a disqualifier. And if anything, it asks the life experience that in some cases that you might speak to on the application. Another question that came up more specifically was about just inability to submit required supporting documents. And I think some of it was related to international students and, for example, who attended other international universities. I'll just grab that one quickly since I also oversee international admission. If it's because of refugee status, as was suggested in one of the questions, or maybe your international high school or college will not send transcripts, just do your best to submit what you can. If they won't submit it, that's not your fault. And we can't make you submit something that's just not possible. So if you have an unofficial version or whatever, you're not able to submit it, just do your best to get it. And if you can't, just explain to us those circumstances as well. So I think the last question I'll maybe pitch to Alex is you gave us a pretty good background on applying for financial aid and that timeline as well. So what should students keep in mind when it comes to how much age should factor into the process? And I'm not just talking about financial aid, but the cost of sending transcripts, the cost of application fees and so forth. How should students approach that when they see that as a barrier in applying to selective institutions?
Yeah, absolutely. And we hear stories of this every year where a student maybe started an application to one of our institutions or another institution and then didn't finish the application because they had a fee. They saw a fee for sending in the application. I saw a fee for getting a transcript, as Alex just mentioned, whatever it may be, and that stops them from moving forward. Please, if you're here today listening to us right now, don't let that be the case for you. If there's an institution that you're interested in applying to, especially one of our institutions, and there's a fee that's creating a barrier, an obstacle for you, don't hesitate to reach out and get a fee waiver for that. There's a few different ways. I know I saw a question, I think at one point pop up about how do I actually go about getting a fee waiver? And the answer might differ a little bit institution to institution. There are ways built into the application where you can just answer certain questions and be able to likely qualify for a fee waiver that way. So certainly take a look at those and pay close attention to those. Sometimes those are in the school specific questions. So not in the general Common App, but once you get to the school specific section, there will be questions about how to qualify for a fee waiver. So make sure you're patient enough to get there and look at those questions too. But I'm certain that almost all of us, if not all of us, have information on our websites as well about how to get fee waivers and what are the steps to take there. And then if worse comes to worse and you're not finding it anywhere and you're saying, I know I heard that I can get a fee waiver, but I'm just not sure how to do it. Again, our emails are available. You can call our general office lines too. We are happy to answer those questions for you. So please, please, please do not let any of those fees stop you from completing this process. And again, as Alex kind of mentioned, they can pop up in a few different places. I know the application can have a fee, the financial aid applications might have a fee. And again, fee waivers are available pretty much every step of the way. So please don't hesitate to reach out. If there's a transcript that you're having to pay a fee for somehow, we might be able to accept an unofficial transcript temporarily and then have to get an official one later down the line. So just don't hesitate to ask and don't hesitate to say, this is a burden for me. This is making it difficult for me. I'm really eager to apply, but I need a little support here, and we'll certainly do our best to provide whatever support we can in that process.
Thanks, Alex. And I think that's a great note to end on, given that we are well over the hour or so that we had planned here. I hope this information was helpful, and really want to stress that any questions you have, whether it's about the process or it's just about the barriers you maybe foresee, get in touch with us either individually or our main offices. We have staff who are expecting and have seen the questions that you before that you want to ask, and we have processes to help you out with them if not already explained on our website. And also, oftentimes our websites and our social media will also allow ways to connect with our current students, our transfer students who have previously been in the situation that you are in as well, and can confirm that we're not just making up answers for policies that we don't actually practice. That is essentially that many of them have had similar experiences to yourself, and we'll be happy to talk you through and answer those questions for you as well. So please do stay in touch. As I said, for those of you who are registered, we are planning to send a recording of this presentation, but we also have recordings of other presentations for transfer students and veterans and so forth otherwise as well on our website. So we definitely encourage you to take advantage of that and stay in touch. So with that, I will thank all of my colleagues here for their presentations this evening. I want to thank all of you for tuning in tonight, either live or watching this and listening to what we had to say. We do hope to continue the conversation, like I said, going forward. But until then, best of luck with everything. Please stay well, stay safe, and good night.